welcome back to my channel. If you're new to me, I'm Jen. I'm a yoga and Pilates teacher, and I'm coming to you from my New York City apartment. Today, I'm excited to show you how to mobilize one of the most important yet often overlooked parts of the body, the feet. Think about it. Your feet are your foundation. They are what ground you. Oftentimes, we can mitigate or prevent issues or imbalances up the chain, like with the knees or the hips, by giving the feet a little bit of attention. So let's talk about the base of the feet. A lot of times you'll hear yoga teachers say root down through the four corners of the feet, referring to the feet as a rectangle, when really, if you look at it, it's more of a triangle. And if you think about a triangular base, it tends to be more stable and steady, especially on uneven terrain, than a rectangular base. We've all been in a situation where we're sitting at a table and it's on a slightly tilted surface and the table is wobbly. There is nothing worse than that. Cue Larry David in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Look at this table.
Wow.
You believe it?
Wow.
Check out this table.
Yeah?
You got a wobbly table here.
So we're gonna think about the feet as a triangular base, and that's the base of the big toe, the base of the pinky toe, and the center of the heel. If you think about camera equipment, a camera is always on a tripod. Lighting equipment, it's always on a tripod. It makes it more stable and able to find balance and steadiness when the surface that you're on is uneven. So the first exercise that I'm gonna show you is toe cars. Cars are controlled articular rotations, and they come from the FRC, or functional range conditioning world. So you're going to root down through your feet, and you could do this sitting down on the floor like I'm doing. You could do this if you're seated in a chair and your feet are flat on the ground, or you could do this standing up, or you could even do it in a yoga pose if you're more advanced. To save time today, we're gonna do both feet at the same time, but know that you could just do this one foot at a time, especially if you find this to be really challenging. So feet on the ground, and you're gonna root down through the triangular base of each foot and just lift up all 10 of your toes. Now, I want you to notice a few things here. Can you spread out all of your toes? Have your pinky toes really going out to the sides of the room, big toes towards each other. It's as if you're at the nail salon and you have little spacers in between your toes, little tissue paper woven in between each toe. Notice if any of your toes are stuck together. Also notice if you're rolling onto the inner edge or outer edge of the feet. We don't want the ankles to do the work here. We just want to move the toes. So all 10 toes are up, all 10 toes are spread out to the best of your ability, and then you're gonna place your 10 toes back down. Now, you're gonna try to just lift up your big toes while you keep the outer 4 down. Do that again. Place your big toes down and then lift them back up. This is where I always think about that scene with Uma Thurman in Kill Bill, where she's in the back of the truck and she says, first things first,
wiggle your big toe.
So that's what we're trying to channel here. Notice if your outer 4 toes are gripping. A foot that's gripping is a foot that's seeking stability. Try to avoid gripping and just lift and lower the big toes. Now, you're gonna place your big toes down and try to lift up your outer 4. Do that again. Outer 4 toes down and then lift them back up. If you're finding this challenging, just do it 1 foot at a time. You can also do this where you're holding down your big toe and then lifting up the outer 4. And you can do it a few times like that and then try to do it on your own. If this is easy for you, try not to look at your feet, just look away as you do it. Our joints are meant to move. It's kind of a move it or lose it mentality, but they're not going to be able to move in ways that you never ask them to move. So if this is completely new to you and you're used to your feet being stuck in really cramped, tight shoes all day, this might be challenging, and that's okay. So now we're gonna go back to lifting up all 10 toes again. Again, try to spread them out as much as you can. And then just tap the big toes down and then lift them back up. Just the big toes down and then lift them back up. Let's just do a few more like that. You could obviously spend more time with this, but I just kind of want to give you a taste of what the exercise looks like. Good. And then you're going to keep your big toes up and try to press the outer 4 down and back up. Sometimes you might get cramps in your feet. You might be working too hard. And sometimes it feels like one foot is more cooperative than the other foot. That's okay. The more you do this, the more you practice this, the better you're gonna get at it. Now let's lift up all 10 toes and you're gonna try to play your toes like piano keys, starting with the pinky toes, ending with the big toes. So we're really trying to isolate one by one by one. This isn't easy. So you're gonna go pinky toe, second, third, fourth, big toe last. Lift them all up, try it again just a couple more times. So this can really improve your gait when you are walking, running, even for just walking upstairs, and definitely this will help you in your yoga practice. So the next thing that I'm going to show you is a stretch for the arches of the feet, the toes, and this will warm up the front of the feet, the ankles, and the shins. So you're going to have your shins tucked underneath you and tuck all 10 of your toes and sit back. Try to really get all 10 toes tucked under, even if you have to manually position your little toe under. So you're going to notice pretty quickly a big stretch through the arches of the feet and the toes. The more you're sitting upright like I'm doing, the more weight is bearing directly down. So if you find this to be challenging, then you can always lean forward, so it's a little bit less weight bearing down, or you can have your hands on blocks. This way you can press down into blocks and put a little bit more of the weight into your hands. If you're okay in this position, I just want you to stay here and take a few deep breaths in through the nose and out through the nose. Okay, for the next stretch, let's just lean forward and for a moment tap out the tops of the feet. So now you're gonna have your feet pointed, toes are untucked, and you're gonna take the top of your right foot, try to place it into the arch of your left foot, and then sit back on your feet. So your left knee is gonna be just slightly forward of the right knee. Try your best to get comfortable here. So you're just putting weight directly into the arch of the left foot. If you've ever used like a massage ball, it's the size of a lacrosse ball, and you stood on that, it's the same kind of pressure at the arch of your foot that you would feel if you were using a lacrosse ball. So you're just gonna stay here and try to take a few breaths in through the nose and out through the nose. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Good. Lean forward to switch sides. Take the top of your left foot and put it across the arch of your right foot. Sit back. Right knee is going to be slightly forward of the left knee. Try your best to get comfortable here. And we just want pressure right in the arch of the right foot. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. And then you can lean forward and just, again, tap out the tops of the feet. Another great way to work on the mobility of the feet, especially the ankles, is in Malasana, aka a yogi squat. Now, a lot of people have trouble getting their heels down in a squat like this, and there's so many ways that you can modify the pose when you're in a yoga class. My favorite, and what I think is the most effective way to modify this pose if you want to gain the ankle mobility to eventually be able to get your heels down, is to take a rolled up towel, I have one here, or a rolled up blanket, or even roll up the edge of your mat. And you're gonna place that raised surface right underneath the heels of the feet. And you can roll it up the amount that works for you to make it a little bit higher or a little bit lower, whatever you need. But I find this a more effective way to actually work on gaining the mobility in the ankles than just sitting on a block or skipping the pose altogether. If you can easily get your heels down in this pose, then I want you to really press down into the feet as if you're trying to stand up rather than sinking down. So instead of being here and sinking, I'm pressing into the feet as if I'm trying to stand all the way up. Another way to work on mobility here is you can work on a higher degree of dorsiflexion in the ankle, a higher degree of flexion for the knees and hips by bringing your legs parallel, feet parallel, just about hips width distance apart. Try to keep the heels down and drape your armpits right over your knees. So this is a really great way to work Malasana that requires a higher degree of mobility. So the last stretch that I'm going to show you is a great stretch not only for the feet, but for your calf muscles as well. You just need something that you can step onto. I'm going to use a yoga block, but you could roll up the edge of your mat or you could put your foot on top of a stair. So you're going to take one foot and place the toes and the ball of your foot on top of your block or whatever object you're using, and then you'll hinge forward and fold into the stretch. So the stretch looks like this. I have one foot on the block, one foot back, hinge from the hips, keep a long spine, and fold down. You might also need something to go underneath your hands. So if you want to put yoga blocks underneath your hands, you could do that as well. If this feels pretty good for you, walk your hands forward as if you're reaching out into a downward facing dog. Switch to the other side when you're ready. This is such a good calf stretch. Breathe into it. And if you'd like to, you can try both feet at the same time. And again, it's a hinge from the hips to fold down. Maybe the hands find some blocks. Or if you're pretty flexible, reach out like you're coming into a downward facing dog. I thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions about these exercises or stretches, comment below. If you found this video helpful, please press the like button and consider subscribing to my channel.